Even if you've been playing harmonica for years, it's likely you're making at least some of these mistakes. I've been guilty of all of them.
You?
I know you thought I never make mistakes, but these mistakes are slowing you down, my friend. You don't want to grow old without getting any better, do you? I'm going to show you what these mistakes are, why you make them, and most importantly, how you can fix them so that you can turbocharge your growth to becoming a harmonica boss. And here's one of the biggest mistakes. Can you hear what's wrong here? Like, the guy can obviously play, but it sounds bad. Ugh. Can you hear how much better they sound here? That's because this mistake is the cardinal sin of playing in the wrong key, and this is a big part of why harmonica players get a bad rap. Why does this happen? Too many players don't know how to choose the right harmonica for the song.
I'm Groot.
That's right.
I'm Groot.
No! No, that's the button that will kill everyone!
One of the greatest points of confusion for beginners on this topic, and a question I feel like I get almost every single day, is what the heck even is a position? That's a deep question that takes a lot of time to unpack, but 90% of songs or more are either in first position, which people also call straight harp, or second position, which people also call cross harp. And today I just quickly want to help you hear the difference between first position and second position. First position, think folk, Americana, pop. If it sounds folksy, if it sounds that 70s happy driving down the highway in the sunshine kind of vibe, or if it sounds like pop, that's going to be a first position sound. Think Neil Young. Or Lee Oscar. Or Billy Joel, Piano Man. Or the Rolling Stones, Sweet Virginia. On the other hand, if it sounds bluesier or funkier, that's like a second position sound. Like Manish Boy. Or Love Me Do by the Beatles. Anything that has a trill. Or Whammer Jammer. With that under your belt, here's the quick version of how to avoid the mistake. If you're in first position, it's simple. Whatever key the band or the jam track is playing in, you just need the same key harmonica. So, song is in the key of C, grab a C harmonica. Song is in the key of G, grab a G harmonica. And if it's in second position, that's where it gets a bit trickier. The easiest solution is simply to print out a positions chart. There's a lot more to keys and positions than that. I'll link some resources in the description if you want to dig deeper into it. But playing in the wrong key isn't the only no mistake harmonica players make, which is even worse. Mistake number 4, and this one is true for all musicians. I've asked this to many groups of students and rarely have had it answered. What is the most important skill for any musician to develop? And this should be obvious, because it's fundamental to how we experience music. Listening, right? And in addition to playing in the wrong key, this is another reason harmonica players get a bad rap, because we get up and just play all over the whole song while the singer's singing and other solos. I'm going to play part of a video here that always makes me laugh to illustrate this point. We want to serve the song, serve the other musicians, add to and embellish a song. So that means soloing at the right time, waiting for the band leader to cue us before we start our solo. Listen as the drummer enters here. Does it seem like the drummer is serving the vocalist? Does it seem like that he's listening to her and trying to support her? God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so let's practice listening more than talking, or listening more than playing. And a big key here is we try and hear the whole band. We try and hear the whole sound of what's being created together and how our part is fitting into it. And here's a couple quick tips to improve your listening game. Tip number 1, have a conversation with the other musician. So whether you are getting the thrill of jamming with other musicians, or maybe you're recording yourself practicing along with a jam track, when you're improvising, listen to what the other musicians are doing and allow something that you hear to inspire you to respond in some way. And that's how you can start to create a meaningful conversation. I'll show you some examples. The first example is supporting a singer. So it's playing without stepping on what the singer is doing. Finding the little holes where the singer is not singing to add a little bit of something that's supportive and augments the tune.
Said I don't wanna leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind.
In this next example, it's more of a melodic conversation, so I'm hearing what someone else is doing and then repeating it exactly. In this third example is having a rhythmic conversation. So even if you can't mimic exactly what somebody does melodically, you can be inspired by the rhythm of what they're doing, and that kind of shows that you're listening by responding with the same rhythm. If you always serve the song, people are always going to want to play with you. And the other tip to improving your listening game is ear training. Now, I wasn't born with a good ear, but I was born with a drive to grow and develop my ear. And the key for me was to start by learning to sing the numbers of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and back down. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If that's confusing and overwhelming for you, you can check out my Scales for Beginners video where I explain how these numbers relate to the major scale and show it to you on a piano. And then the next step was to be able to hear and recognize intervals. The word interval just means the distance between two tones. So 1 to 2 is a major second. 1, 2, 1, happy birthday. 1 to 3 is a major third. 1, 3, oh, when the saints. 1 to 4 is a perfect fourth. 1, 4, here comes the bride. And then eventually you can naturally analyze the numbers of any melody and quickly recognize the pattern that the melody represents. This is a great example of active listening, and active listening is a cure to mistake number 3 as well. What am I doing wrong here? And why does this sound better? Yes, mistake number 3 is rushing. The concept of rushing has 2 equally important applications to be aware of. The first is in how we learn and practice. Check me out here practicing Orange Blossom Special and see if you can spot what I'm doing wrong. I'm making the mistake of practicing too fast, which is only helping me practice making mistakes. Making mistakes is a normal part of learning, but making the same mistakes over and over without trying to fix them will kill your progress. When you practice, you're firing off all kinds of circuits in your brain, your mouth, your tongue, your throat, your diaphragm, your nervous system. If you're in a rush and you keep repeating them, you will hardwire them into those circuits, ending up with what I like to call strong wrong. On the other hand, practicing slow will help you be smooth, and smooth equals fast. That's why I always say the faster you want to grow, the more you have to go slow. So try practicing only at a speed where you can be at least 90% accurate. Here's a 3-step recipe for success when you're learning new material. Step 1, don't use a metronome at all and go really slowly, like slower than you think you need to go. Step number 2, now turn on the metronome and practice very slowly. Again, more slowly than you think you need to go. And then step number 3, slowly increase the tempo, no more than a few beats per minute at a time. A good rule of thumb is if you can play a passage 5 times in a row without making a mistake, that means you've mastered it and you can increase the tempo a bit. And the second application of the problem of rushing is what I showed in the hoochie coochie example. Just playing too early, a phenomenon that I like to call premature articulation. The cure for premature articulation is to spend most of our practice time with some form of rhythmic accountability. A jam track, a record, a metronome, or playing while walking are all great examples. That's why in my beginner to boss course, every lesson ends with playing along with a jam track at a slow and then medium and then fast speed. Because if you're playing along with a metronome or a jam track and you're feeling the pulse, maybe bobbing your head or tapping your foot and really listening to how your playing matches that, then you're going to be improving your sense of time. For the most growth in this area, you're going to want to record yourself and then listen back, because sometimes we think we're good, but then when you listen back to it and you're not distracted by trying to do what you're trying to do, then you can really hear you're probably rushing more than you think. And now, bringing these two applications of the mistake of rushing together, it's important to understand that it is more difficult to play an accurate rhythm slowly than it is quickly. A lot of people think, oh, I want to play faster, I want to play faster. But it's actually harder to execute a rhythm accurately at a slow tempo because there's more space between each note, and so there's more space for your error to be obvious. So if you can play something with great rhythmic accuracy very slowly, then when you speed up, it's going to sound like you're really playing in the pocket. And one big reason that we rush is because of mistake number 2. Check this out. Which of these sounds better? Or, okay, the second one obviously sounds better, right? And do you know why? Number 1 was played with tense lips that weren't deep on the harmonica, and number 2 was played with relaxed lips. Have you figured out what mistake number 2 is yet? Tension is the enemy of mastery.
Relax. If you just relax. You've got to relax.
Relaxation is the key. And don't worry, I'm going to give you the secret to relaxation, because any technique you're working on, whether it's single notes, bending, overblows, executing a difficult rhythm, or getting a lick or a song up to speed, tension will sabotage you. Why do we get tense? I believe the 2 biggest sources of tension are fear and frustration. So whether we're frustrated that we're not getting better quickly enough, or we're afraid that we're not going to get better, or maybe we're actually up on stage and we're in the freak out zone, the cure is the same as the foundation to our harmonica playing, and that is deep diaphragmatic breathing. A deep conscious breath will help us to dispel tension in our bodies, and even better if we voice the exhale with a sigh. And you'll see how this ties into mistake number 1 too, but I can't tell you how many times I'm working to get something up to speed, I'm trying to get it faster, and then all of a sudden I realize like every muscle in my body is just like writhing with tension. Okay, stop, slow down, take a deep breath. Relaxation is the key to speed. Relaxation is the key to everything. That's why in my beginner to boss course, we take it really slow at the beginning, because the main focus literally is just to train our bodies that when the harmonica goes in our mouth, we are entering a time of relaxation, of having fun, and just exploring and playing with things. It's not a time to get stressed. This is our time to unwind. And it's not just beginners who need to do this. Pros understand the value of learning something very slow and relaxed. Just like most pros would all agree on the number 1 mistake that harmonica players make. And the number 1 mistake that all beginners and intermediate and advanced players make? Which of these sounds better? This? Or this? In the first example, I was using my diaphragm to control my breathing through the harmonica. In the second example, I was heaving like this.
Just breathe normal, fellas.
If you ever listen to Paul Butterfield, this guy sounds like a total powerhouse. He actually teaches that we should practice like we're playing too quietly for anybody to hear us. And that's because he understands the way that this type of practice develops your breath control. The best tone on the harmonica comes not from playing with too much force, but playing with just the right amount of force. Not only does playing too hard sound bad, but also it's tough on the reeds on the harmonica. It's going to cause them to go out of tune or even break reeds. And I'll confess, I had been playing harmonica for 10 or 15 years, and I was still blowing out reeds on harmonicas simply because I was playing too hard. Get this right at the start and you'll sound better faster, and your instruments will last longer too. So focus on playing softly, playing in the pocket, taking your time, listening with both ears, and playing in the right key, and you're gonna be on the path to being an awesome harmonica player, my friend. But wait, you need some killer riffs to practice this stuff on, right? Check these ones out right here.